Hi, my name is Doug Brown and I will be analysing The Umbrella Man. Now, what is The Umbrella Man? It's a short documentary directed by Errol Morris that tells the story of the mysterious figure with an umbrella who was at the very location where President John F. Kennedy was shot and killed. It is short, succinct, and expertly executed, and this is because of Morris's efficient use of direction and style, and ultimately he has created an effective documentary with a clear message and an engaging premise. Now, the modes utilised in The Umbrella Man are that of expository and participatory. It is expository because the film aims to teach a lesson. It is didactic in its approach. There is no reason for Morris to leave this story open to interpretation. The end message is powerful and was crafted for the audience to draw the same conclusion. It has a clear perspective from a reliable source, the source being a man named Josiah Thompson, who I will further discuss later on. And the perspective is of the assassination of John Kennedy, and it focuses on an event that isn't as well known as the likes of Lee Harvey Oswald. It is a refreshing perspective and remains linear to avoid any confusion. Now, every shot the audience sees is connected with everything Thompson mentions in the film. The opening of the film sees a man walking through a park with an umbrella. This is because the Umbrella Man is a literal man. The Umbrella Man isn't some sort of metaphorical man. It isn't a term for something else. Morris wants the audience to know that this story is about a man with an umbrella, and this is why the opening shot is effective. When Thompson mentioned a microscope, the audience sees a microscope. When Thompson refers to John F. Kennedy, we see footage of John F. Kennedy and so forth. This is textbook exposition. Morris wants the audience to understand everything at play so that the finale has a maximum impact. The film is historically accurate, it provides footage of the topic of the documentary, and everything the reliable Thompson talks about, Morris is able to back up with visual evidence. There is no voiceover, but Morris does speak to Thompson, which brings forth this element of participation. These are all textbook attributes of exposition, and Morris uses them to his advantage, as does he with his use of participation. Now, The Umbrella Man is a personal story of Thompson's, and he uses factual evidence to support the subjective tone. Now, as Morris does utilise participatory mode, he doesn't make a habit of it. He only talks to Thompson a few times, and when he does, it is to highlight the most important aspects of the story. Now, Morris only speaks to Thompson 3 times, and each time is sort of the most crucial elements in the development of the story. The first time is when Thompson talks about the weather, and Morris is able to back him up by saying it's a beautiful day in the neighbourhood. Basically what this is it now makes the audience think that there should be no reason for anyone to have an umbrella or a raincoat because it's a beautiful day. So that by the time we see the Umbrella Man, it makes the audience, suspicion rise, and we're now sort of drawn into this mysterious character. It's also utilised again with the unveiling of the Umbrella Man, courtesy of Josiah. Morris asks if you can name the Umbrella Man. Josiah says yes and moves on. This is because later on in the film, we find out that the Umbrella Man was an innocent bystander, and therefore there's no reason for Josiah to publicly name this innocent man who was a part of the crowd. And thirdly, Josiah never mentions that he thought that the Umbrella Man was the person who killed JFK. And so it's Morris who asks, was he the one who did it? And basically when he says that, the audience is now on the same page. They don't have any ulterior thought process. Everyone is in the same space, and we all have this idea that he is somehow responsible for the assassination of JFK. Historical references take up the majority of the story, and while Morris does question Thompson, he does so in a friendly manner, and Thompson is able to tell his story in a safe space. Overall, the audience gets the sense that Morris is invested in this story, and while he does engage with Thompson, he leaves the majority of the storytelling to Thompson, all key points of participatory filmmaking. Now, the combination of these two modes works very well with the subject matter. It aims to teach the audience with straightforward facts, but it allows Thompson to speak freely, to make it more personal, which makes the experience more rewarding for the viewer, especially when you come to the conclusion. Now the modes have been discussed, it's important to understand the content. Now, Josiah Thompson is the author of 6 Seconds in Dallas, in which he argues there was a conspiracy to assassinate the president. Now, Thompson knows almost every detail of the assassination, which is why he was a perfect subject for the documentary. Now, in the beginning of the film, he discusses the weird phenomenon surrounding the Umbrella Man, this strange man standing underneath an umbrella in the middle of a sunny day. Thompson mentions the various outfits worn by the citizen and points out the sunny day in Dallas, as mentioned earlier. He speculates that the Umbrella Man had a connection to the assassination, which results in him asking the Umbrella Man come forward to explain himself, which the Umbrella Man did in the late 70s. Until now, we assume something sinister is at play here until we find out that this man used his umbrella as a visual protest in regards to Joseph Kennedy and Neville Chamberlain. Now, I did my research. Joseph Kennedy was the father of John F. Kennedy, and he was the US ambassador to British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain. And it was those two who helped form appeasement policies with Hitler during World War II. So basically, the Umbrella Man was an innocent bystander who Thompson firmly believes was telling the truth. He was an innocent man who was there who objected to these appeasement policies formed with an awful, cruel dictator like Hitler. So the overall message is that it is so much easier for someone to rule out evil wrongdoings than it is to think of the complete innocent truth. So basically, never make false assumptions without maximum proof. What really brings this documentary all together is Morris's effective use of style. Morris has been around since the late 70s, has released critically acclaimed documentaries, and has even won an Oscar for Best Documentary for The Fog of War. Now, as a result, it is evident that Morris is passionate about this era, considering The Fog of War is about Robert S. McNamara, who was the Secretary of Defense during the Kennedy administration. Now, when I first watched it, I assumed that Errol Morris was this young man who was able to make a short documentary to build his portfolio. When I found out who Errol Morris actually is, it really put the documentary into perspective. The fact that this 6-minute documentary could have been made by someone like Morris who has been around for decades, is in the industry, has the following, has the backing. He could have made a big, full-length presentation, but he decided to keep it really small and was able to get all the points across and still make a very intriguing documentary. Now, the next use of style that Morris has put to use is the tone. The assassination of JFK is an awful piece of history, as he was a beloved president. But Morris has used soft, pleasant music to create a positive and uplifting tone. And instead of making Thompson approach this story in a dark way, he makes Thompson feel at ease, and he is able to deliver a thoughtful message out of this depressing event. Thompson is also very emotive and entertaining, thanks to Morris's disposition towards the subject. Now, if this short piece of film was directed by someone like Michael Moore, it could have ran the risk of harassing Thompson. Yet Morris, he stays back, he only speaks out when completely necessary, and as a result, he has focused on using striking visuals to corroborate everything that Thompson talks about, and he has been able to craft a linear story that is easy to follow, and it leaves a thoughtful impression on the viewer with the positive tone utilised. The Umbrella Man is a great piece of cinema. It's a wonderful documentary, and this is all through Morris's effective use of exposition and participation. The content is intriguing, and this is because of Josiah's enthusiasm to the whole event, but ultimately it is Morris's style that makes this a rewarding documentary that people should watch.